welcome to Downton Abbey, the Downton Abbey chat show. It is the season 5 Christmas special, A Moorland Holiday. And there was a lot going on, so let's get right to it. Anna is still in prison. Oh, remember when they arrested her? That was awful. So, we're still wondering, did she kill Mr. Green? Because we still don't know. Well, Anna got a visit in prison from Lady Mary, and she didn't even use a fake name, and there was a lot of discussion about this amongst the characters on the show. Some people were saying like, oh man, if this ends up in the papers, that's gonna be so scandalous. And then some other people were like, well, it should be in the papers. This is admirable. Like, Mary is showing support for her, lady's maid, whatever, and it's awesome. So a lot of discussion there. Let me know what you guys think. Was it a good idea or not? I say good idea. And Anna also got many visits from Bates, but on one particular visit we find out there's some new evidence against Anna, and it's not looking good for her. I'm not saying that she murdered Mr. Green, but the evidence is not going to help her, obviously, in court. So Anna's past is resurfacing, and we find out that her stepfather was abusive, and there was this one instance where he attacked her and she actually had this knife and cut him. So I think Anna's mother got the stepfather to lie about it, so I don't know if it was still like on the record or something, or if maybe the stepfather came forward when he found out Anna was in prison or what, but hopefully we'll find that out at some point. So, bottom line, it's not good. Alright, let's talk about the upstairs crew. The Crawley family was invited to stay at the awesome Brancaster Castle by Lord Cinderby. So, just a refresher, Lord Cinderby is Atticus's father, so Rose's father-in-law. I forgot the word. And Brancaster Castle is not a real place, but it was filmed at Alnwick Castle, which is, I think, where they partially filmed Harry Potter, and it's partially the basis for Hogwarts, so that's pretty awesome. But anyway, this was a grouse hunting trip, and Rose and Atticus are back from their honeymoon. Love them. So, Lord Cinderby actually brought his own butler to run the house, and ugh, this butler is so stuck up. He's a total snob, and he's not making things easy for upstairs or downstairs. So he's not serving Tom because he's not upper class for real. He married into it, you know, he was a chauffeur. He's making Thomas Barrow be a footman, and he's like, I'm an under butler now and valet, so no. But then he's like, okay, fine. So he has to be a footman for this trip. Ugh. So Mary does not like what this butler's doing, and she's telling Barrow, I want you to take this butler down a few pegs. So she tells Barrow, set up a scheme that's going to make Lord Cinderby be really pissed at his butler. And you know, Thomas is definitely the person to go to when you need something like that done. So it totally worked. I'm not going to go into the whole plan, but I will say, don't even think about giving Cinderby plain food, because he doesn't. So he totally freaked out at the dinner table with all these guests there. He's yelling at his butler. He insults Thomas. I think he called him like a something idiot. I don't know, stupid idiot or something like that. Well, Thomas is pissed because getting yelled at was not part of the deal. He did not want to be embarrassed in front of all these guests. So he wants to get back at Cinderby now. So he uses the butler's bruised ego to dig up some dirt on Cinderby, because you know the downstairs crew knows everything about the family, but the family barely knows anything about their servants, so that's pretty crazy. But the butler totally spills his guts to Thomas, and the next day he's just like, yeah, all that stuff I told you, I was really angry, and please don't tell anyone. And Thomas is just like, oh yeah, of course, ha ha ha. Yeah, right. Oh snap, Thomas invited Cinderby's mistress and love child to the castle. Okay, and when I say mistress and love child, I mean secret mistress and love child, as in his wife and Atticus don't know about them. So, I mean, I think Rose knew what was up immediately. She saw the uncomfortable look on Cinderby's face when the woman and her child walked in, so she saved his butt. She pretended that the woman was her friend, and she was just like, oh, how are you? What are you doing here? So then Mary and Lord Grantham were like roped into the lie, and they played along with it. Crazy stuff. But Cinderby pulled the three of them aside. He was very thankful for what they did, and he asked Mary and Lord Grantham to keep it quiet because he doesn't need that info getting out. That's crazy though, that Rose has to keep this lie from her own husband. He has like a half-brother, and oh, it's crazy. You gotta wonder if that information's gonna come out at some point. But anyway, it was nice in a way that Cinderby is now gonna be nicer to Rose because she saved his butt, so that's cool. But Lord Grantham is kind of having a scary time on this trip. He had a little bit of a medical scare, and I'm just thinking, oh my god, do not do this to me again. I cannot have another Christmas ruined by Downton Abbey. Don't let anything happen to Robert. So he takes this health scare very seriously, and he wants to make sure everything is right in his life. So he decides to have a heart-to-heart with Edith about Marigold. He's just like, yeah, I know that that's your real daughter. I'm cool with it. So yay, Edith. That's good. She feels more comfortable about that now. Later on, Tom also gets Edith to admit it to him. So basically everyone knows except for Mary. Mary, did you know that your sister had a love child? I don't know how that song goes after the Mary, did you know part. But yeah, Mary's like the only one that doesn't know, so that's really awkward. But anyway, speaking of Edith and Mary, it seems like they may have some new love interests. Edith has been chatting it up with the agent of Brancaster, and Mary has been talking to one Mr. Talbot, which looks like Talbot, but she was saying Talbot, so I'm like, I don't know. But Mary is really impressed by Mr. Talbot's fancy car, and I'm just thinking, like, your late husband died in a car accident, but you're like freaking out over this guy's car. It just seems wrong. But anyway, excuse me, back at Downton. While the cats are away, the servants will play. So Carson and Mrs. Hughes were enjoying some very expensive leftover wine and discussing their future plans. So last season they were talking about possibly buying a property and turning it into a bed and breakfast after they retire. So they're still talking about that, talking about visiting some properties, and then they do go through with that on their day off, and Carson is ready to buy. He's ready to make an offer. And Mrs. Hughes is just like, oh, she's freaking out because she's been going along with this whole scheme, and now she's like, oh no, I can't go through with this. I just can't do it. So she opens up to Carson and tells him something very personal, but also like, whoa, I can't believe that she kept that a secret. So Mrs. Hughes has no savings. She basically can never retire because all of her money that she's made, she used to pay for her sister's care. Her sister, I think she was saying, is like handicapped or something, so she needs special care. So that's crazy. I felt so bad for Mrs. Hughes and Carson because Carson was just like, oh my god, how did I not know this? I want to help, all that stuff. We're going to come back to that. So let's talk about the Dowager Countess. She enlisted the help of Shrimpy to track down Princess Karagan, and he did. It was a success. They found her. So they brought the princess to the Dowager's house. The Dowager sets up this reunion with the prince, and she's like, I'm also going to invite Isabel and Dickie Merton. So you would think that maybe the prince would want like some alone time with his wife, but guess what? He's like, no, it's been 5 years since I've seen her. No, I need other people there. I don't want to be with her alone. That's crazy. So the princess is quite frosty. Yeah, frosty with everyone, especially the Dowager Countess. And she's referring to some past event where they last saw each other, and it sounds like really tense, but we don't know what it is yet. And the princess is just very like miserable. I mean, I understand that you've been like exiled and stuff, but Wow, I thought she would have at least been like, thanks for helping me, but no. So she goes back upstairs after the dinner, and Kuragin has some time alone with the Dowager, and he is still not giving up on her. Damn! Even after his wife has been found, he's just like, so let's spend the rest of our lives together. And she's just like, no, it's a no-go. Are you kidding me? Your wife is upstairs. No, it's not happening. She tells him that she can't be with him. Wow. So later on in the episode, Isabel and Lord Merton, Dickie, I just love that. I love saying that name. They have a little chat, and he's just like, okay, so like what's the status of our relationship? We were engaged and then my sons just suck. So she's like, well, you know what? I won't marry you unless your sons are cool with it, because she's not gonna spend her wonderful final years dealing with this BS. She doesn't want to deal with that. So he's like, oh, well, at least like that gives me some hope. I can see what I can do because I want to be with you. And I'm just thinking like, yeah, have you seen your sons lately? They're douchebags. It's not going to happen. And Isabel got a mean letter from one of Dickie's sons later in the episode, and he was basically like, yeah, I heard that my dad wants me to like you or whatever, but like, I'm not gonna do it. You still suck. I hate you. So yeah, that happened. It looks like they're not gonna get married, which is very upsetting. But anyway, the family returns to Downton, and they find out Mr. Bates is gone. What? Yeah, he is in hiding right now. He left a letter for Lord Grantham, and he ended up like confessing to the murder of Mr. Green so that Anna will be released. And everyone's just like, yeah, we know this isn't true. He's just doing this so that Anna gets out of prison, which is very honorable. But at the same time, it's just like, what do we do now? So Bates left some instructions for how to reach him, only for Lord Grantham. And Anna, as a result, was released from prison, for now anyway. So that was, I don't know, mixed emotions about that. So some good news. Robert's test results came in. It's like good, but kind of bad, but pretty good. He does not have angina, so that's great news actually, but he does have an ulcer. So Cora's like, no drinks until Christmas Eve. So let's fast forward to Christmas 1924. There's a new footman. His name is Andy. Do you guys remember? He was the one that helped out during Rose's wedding in London. So familiar face. I'm sure we'll see more of him next season. And we find out that Molesley and Baxter have been playing Sherlock and Watson during their off days. That's so awesome. So they actually were looking around to try and help out Mr. Bates, and they ended up finding the pub and a witness from where Bates was the day that Green died. So they're like, this is our information, bring this to the police. So Bates, we'll get to that. So good job, Molesley and Baxter. All right, on a sad note, this could possibly be Tom and Sibby's last Christmas at Downton Abbey. No! Tom keeps saying that they're gonna move to Boston in the new year, and I don't want him to go, but there was a real tearjerker moment in this episode. Tom, Mary, and Edith were all up in the nursery, and they took a moment to join hands and talk to Sybil. It was very emotional. And then Robert was like watching from the doorway. It was just really sad. But anyway, it was nice of them to like mention Sybil again. Okay, Robert, he is getting schwasty. He hasn't had a drink in months because of the ulcer. So like Cora was saying, like one whiff of sherry and woo, he's gone. He's like, you get a drink in that hand. I want to see you with a drink in your hand. Put a drink in my hand. We're all drinking. So Robert is about to get up in front of everyone and make a speech. And when I say everyone, I mean upstairs, the downstairs crew, the tenant farmers from the estate. And Tom is just like, hello, no. So he saves Robert from making this drunken speech. He introduces Mary and Edith to perform their rendition of Silent Night. Who knew that Edith plays the piano? She probably did in former episodes, but I didn't remember. But anyway, Isabel and the Dowager have a very, I don't know how to describe this chat. Interesting chat on Christmas Eve. They go off into a room by themselves. Dowager Countess is dropping some truth bombs. Apparently, back in the day, she actually was going to run away and elope with Prince Karagan. Like, they were leaving together to run away. So the Dowager's maid told the princess about this plan, and the princess, like, tracked them down, freaking grabbed the Dowager by her hair and, like, whatever she could grab onto, dragged her out of the carriage and sent her back to her husband. What? Oh my gosh. So yeah, there's some crazy stuff going on there. And, you know, at the time, whoa. But now the Dowager's, like, looking back and she's like, wow, the princess really saved me from ruin. Like, some serious ruin. So that's why she wanted to help her out so badly and get her back to her husband, Prince Karagan. So that's the story behind that. We also find out maybe there were some other affairs or something going on. I don't know. That Dowager, woo, crazy times. So another very interesting conversation. Carson and Mrs. Hughes sneak off to talk about the future again. And Carson's like, guess what? I bought the house and I included your name on the deed. And Mrs. Hughes is just like, what? Why are you doing this? Like, do you really want to be stuck with me forever? Like, what's the deal? And Carson's just like, yes, that's exactly it. I do want to be stuck with you. And then Carson asks Mrs. Hughes to marry him. Oh my gosh, it was so awesome. She said yes! So Carson and Mrs. Hughes are engaged. Can you believe that? This is something that I was like thinking that maybe it could happen. I was thinking that like since season 1, and it was just like, that'd be so awesome. I can't believe it actually happened. And on Christmas. How awesome. Another awesome moment, Mr. Bates returned to Downton and snuck up on Anna during O Come All Ye Faithful. It was such a sweet moment. Oh my god, it was so great to see them back together. And I'm just hoping that next season is happy for them. That would be great. So that was pretty much the end of the Christmas special. And I guess we have to say goodbye to Tom, Sibby, and Rose and Atticus because they're going to be moving to New York. Rose has a lot of movies in the works, okay? She can't be on the show anymore. But it's so sad. So let me know what you guys thought of this Christmas special. I thought it was pretty good. A lot of good stuff going on. A lot of interesting stuff. We got to see some Dowager Isabel interaction. I love their friendship. It's so cute. I just loved it. So let me know what you guys thought in the comments. And until next season, much love.